right. Let everyone know they're being recorded. You're being recorded. And let me X out of that. All right. So I'm just gonna start. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Today I have Bobby C from the Anonymous Addiction Podcast. If you look up AA deprogramming, I know you've seen Bobby. I was on his podcast a couple weeks ago, I think it was now, and I asked him to come on my channel, and here we are. So welcome, Bobby. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Tara. I really appreciate you asking me to do this because this is the first time I had somebody do some questions and answers, which
Oh,
is going to
really?
be, which is going to be fun. This is, I've been looking forward to something like this.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. So, how did you find my content and what prompted you to ask me to be a guest on your podcast?
Well, first of all, how can you not find content? You're all over the place. Okay. Which is the beauty of social media, Instagram, you got TikTok, Facebook, wherever. I seen Tara Grace, I seen Burn the Stigma, and it aligned up with, my thinking and what my program, Anonymous Addiction Deprogramming Podcast, is all about. So I said, let me ask Tara if she would come on my podcast. I was excited when you said yes, of course.
Yeah, it's always exciting to talk to other people, who talk about this stuff because, all of the challenges that we deal with the people, and just the different things, the feedback that we get back sometimes. So I always enjoy talking to people who have been there, because it's just, it's a different beast than when you're just talking about, makeup or whatever online. There's a lot of emotions there. So what initially brought you to the 12-step program?
Well, like everybody else, I'll start out by saying everyone should share their story to somebody. Okay. Stories are great to let it out of your body, just give it to somebody else and do it several times. But what I found out, stories in Alcoholics Anonymous, the war stories we call them, as everyone knows, it kind of gets toxic because of the repetition. And it's almost like, I'm skipping a little bit, but I'm going to go back. But I just wanted to get this out there about war stories. It gets toxic in a sense that, say, when I first came in and I heard all these terrific, horrendous stories. I mean, somebody always has a better one than the other one.
Mm-hmm.
It's always like, oh, I never heard that one before. 20 rehabs, 3 wives, lost your family, your car, it just got better and better. I find out sometimes that works against the people that come in early because they say, you know what, I got a lot more of this stuff to do. So
True.
let me just go out and, because I don't fit in. Why I came in Alcoholics Anonymous, because, let's see, I was just done. I wanted help. I wanted to do something different. My wife went to Al-Anon.
Okay.
So she was going to Al-Anon. She met someone in Al-Anon, and her husband was in Alcoholics Anonymous. Lonnie, his name was. He's still a friend of mine today. I was ready. I was ready for change.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't ready, I was ready to lose a bunch of stuff, counting my family. Okay, because this wasn't the first go around that this stuff was happening. So I was at the end of my rope. I don't want to call it rock bottom or anything like that because we don't like to use those terms anymore. but I raised my hand and I said, help. I said yes. I said yes to help. And I think that's the whole essence of everything. I said yes, I'll take some help. It's just like anybody if they were going into harm reduction or doing MAT or any other type of therapy or program, they say, yeah, I'm willing to go to help, get some help. So I said, Yeah, have him come over Sunday, and if he has a meeting on Sunday, I'll go with him. So he picked me up, and he went. I went to my first Alcoholics Anonymous meeting in 1984. I remember the day because it was significant in my life. It was February 27th, 1984.
Wow.
Okay, so I remember it. Not that I'm counting time. I don't celebrate. I don't do any celebrations with years or anything like that anymore. But I remember that time. And when as we go through these questions, I'll answer a bunch of questions that has to do with where I was from just going in a year later, 2 years later, because all the questions kind of it's kind of laid out nice. I really like your questions that you developed
Thank
here.
you.
Yeah, yeah, I did.
Thank you. So this is actually not on this, but you just so your first meeting, right? Your first time, your first exposure to recovery, I'm assuming, right? Your first meeting. What did you think? Like were you like these people are a bunch of weirdos or did you get excited?
You know what? You're talking 4 years ago. We didn't have the internet. I didn't. I didn't know anything about treatment centers. I
Yeah.
didn't know. I didn't know anything. I heard of Alcoholics Anonymous because my mother-in-law, her father, was labeled an alcoholic, and he was a problematic drinker. So, society the indoctrination of the 12-step program in Alcoholics Anonymous has been indoctrinated into society for over 40 years. I mean, over 90 years. Okay. So I'm only talking 40 years. So my mother-in-law was indoctrinated. The whole society was indoctrinated about it. The system was. So I was labeled an alcoholic.
Hmm.
So when I went to my first meeting, I didn't know what to expect. All I know is this guy that picked me up, Lonnie, I liked. He was cool. He didn't have a big book in his hand. He was like, I'll say, I'm going to use some slang, but just to describe him. He was a dope shooting, pharmacy robbing, Jack Daniels drinking construction dude that I liked.
Yeah.
He was just cool. I liked him.
Yeah.
Went to a meeting with him. He became my friend. I don't think I really ever liked the word sponsor anyhow, but he was my friend, and he had two daughters. I had two daughters. His wife hung with my wife, so we had a bunch of stuff in common, and we talked about a lot of life stuff. He never had a big book, and he never put the big book down on me and said, "Do this, do this, do this." So I was attracted to that because I wasn't coerced in that
Hmm.
sense that they do today. Okay, and I actually kind of liked it. I felt like back then I felt, I'm up my first meeting. I felt like I fit in. We were smoking cigarettes.
Mm.
You have your coffee there. We're
Yeah.
smoking. Back then we had ashtrays and they had to clean ashtrays. So we're smoking cigarettes and just sitting there and we're hearing stories because I really never joined anything. Okay, so this felt like, hey, I could possibly fit in this thing, you know. But all along, I was doing it looking back, because I can only see it when I look back. Look back, I was always doing it my way.
Yeah.
You know how Sinatra, Frank Sinatra's old song, My Way. I was always doing it my way. I didn't go. I only went to one meeting a week.
Mm.
I didn't go to a step meeting for a year.
Oh wow.
If I went away, I didn't even go to a meeting if I went away. But I continued to go and get more involved as the time went on.
It was progressive, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, how did the 12-step model shape your beliefs about, recovery, addiction, and just like yourself, like what they told you about yourself?
Well, I was lucky because I think I was a free thinker from the get go. But Alcoholics Anonymous, I always was doing it my way, trying to do it my way. I always was going against the stream because I say I fit in at that first meeting. Okay, it was nice. It was cool. but there was always something that I didn't fit in. It was like I liked it, but I wasn't going to buy it all. You know what I mean? And until I got this, like that step meeting, until I opened up that big book and seen that step meeting and started to go to step meetings, I actually would bring my big book meeting, my step book meeting, and I would cross out things. Like if I didn't like it was more or less, I was good. Years later, because of the cognitive dissonance and the ambivalence that was like back and forth. Matter of fact, ambivalent, here's the word ambivalent, is the experience of having an attitude towards something that contains both positive and negative. Okay. Cognitive dissonance is the discomfort a person feels when their behavior does not align with their values or beliefs. So I had a lot of ambivalence and cognitive dissonance from the get-go.
Yeah.
And it was like I never wanted to buy the whole thing, you know. So I'm always questioning, and I was questioning stuff from the very beginning. I tell listeners, I say, you're in the program, think, question, observe, and become aware of your surroundings and situations and the indoctrinations that are happening through repetition. But you know what really messed me up, I think, the most was the religious part of it.
Yeah.
I was raised a Catholic. I
Me
wasn't
too.
born a Catholic. I wasn't born a Catholic. I was raised. My mother passed on her Catholicism to me. And I did all the rituals back then. Communion, confession, Holy Communion, all that stuff. Baptized as a child. Had, with a little little suit back then, you had to do the whole ritual. So I knew what religion was. And when I started to go to step meetings, that's when I really started to get the cognitive dissonance. Because of it felt, they always push this stuff that they're saying it's spiritual and it's not religion. They're always pushing that on there. And I'm saying to myself, I don't know. This doesn't sound spiritual. It sounds religious. And little did I know that it was a total religion. It was Rockefeller's temperance movement religion when he took it over and then built and he got a bunch of people to start Alcoholics Anonymous. Okay, it's today I know for 100% it's a religion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, nope. I don't believe that it is. I know it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's when it really started because I actually started to, the cognitive back and forth. Okay, I'm wrong. I can't be right. They got to be right. Let me really check into it. I started to go to Chris because, first of all, when I started to do my first fourth step, the fifth step, fourth and fifth, I went to a priest,
Mm.
and the priest told me, Bobby, make the big book your Bible, and AA your church. Now, what's that tell? I mean, that tells me right there. He even knows it's a church.
Right.
You know, and this big book here, I got to cover it up because I always did. Because we'll talk about the shame, the guilt, and the fear.
Yeah.
I never wanted. Who in the hell wanted to be labeled an alcoholic and walk around with I didn't.
Yeah.
So the religious part always like there was a contradiction of spirituality and religion because as the years went by, I went outside the triangle for other information.
Mm.
Okay, so I was doing therapy, I was doing one-on-one, I was doing Iron John meetings. I was going to CODA meetings and ACO meetings also, but I was going beyond that. I was going to maybe some Buddhist philosophy and stuff like that. I was checking into spirituality. Even though today I really don't even like the word spirituality, because as soon as I say it, someone's going to define it in their reality.
Right.
They know about it. Okay. Today, I rarely use the word God because it's been so abused and misused that I don't even like the word God. Okay. Uh, I think it's just a trap. Well, I don't want to get into it. I believe all religions are indoctrinated cults, so that's what I believe. But
Yeah.
go ahead. Well, next, what's?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I too was raised Catholic. My mom is super Catholic, like still goes to church every Sunday. And
Oh, bless you, mom.
yeah.
I love your mom because I don't even know her, but I know that type of mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And that
beautiful, beautiful.
yeah. Yeah. And so when I first got introduced to the big book and I saw how heavily religious it was, I got excited because I was like, this is the stuff my mom's been telling me to do. It's just now it's in words that are meant for like my kind of brain. So I was hooked at first. I was like, this is where I'm supposed to be, like it was aligning with everything I heard at home, so it just the religion connection is absolutely there. Now, I know I feel like you kind of answered this already with the religion part, but like when did you start to question the program or just feel like it wasn't a right fit for you?
I always did from the beginning. Um, but getting back to what you just said, isn't that funny? It goes the
Yeah.
complete opposite
Yeah,
way, and that's the uniqueness of our personalities, and
exactly.
and how they can hook you in either different types of ways.
Hmm.
And what was that again?
So I was just saying, was there a moment or like
No,
something that you just were like, this, you know what? I'm starting to kind of think, but from the beginning you were kind of like had an eyebrow raised.
no, it was always from the beginning
Yeah.
because not that I wasn't indoctrinated and hooked,
Yeah.
okay, but it was like even when I went to a Bible study, because eventually uh, I had to find this. I was like, "Where's this God they're talking about?" And this made up understanding of your own BS. That's just a little. They put that in there just to disguise the whole thing and
Right.
make you think and somebody think that they're doing something different and special for their own self. When it's always A, B, and C. You
Mm-hmm.
know what they talk about A, B, and C. Our description of the alcoholics at chapter 2, the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear three pertinent ideas. Well, we know three pertinent means the most important, right? Uh, we that were alcoholics and could not manage our lives. Never again. Come on. B, that probably no human power could relieve our alcoholism. And three, C,
God
God could and
could
would if
and
he was
would if you were
sought.
sought.
I mean, that in itself says it's a religion.
Hmm.
Okay, not just that, but the praying, the third step prayer, the seventh step prayer, the 11th step prayer, the Serenity prayer, the Our Father. I mean, look, if you're looking for a religion and a spiritual conversion, I would rather see you go to the Catholic Church than Alcoholics Anonymous, because the Catholic Church is a lot easier.
Right.
you know, this shit, they ain't putting that big book that fourth and fifth and eighth and ninth, and they're not drilling. And we'll get into it, but eventually I ended up doing everything that they suggested, just to see and feel it and taste it,
Hmm.
so I knew it. Okay, and
Yeah.
that was the searching. Uh, I had to do all that to know the difference. You know what I mean? If I just didn't do any of that, I wouldn't have known what I know today.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad that I was one of the over the top, like big book thumpers, like, involved in the extremist groups. Because if I just went to like, AA light, as, we used to call it, I wouldn't know how bad it can get, like how, just how much it can just completely take over your soul. Because, a type of AA meeting, I always say AA is on a spectrum, right? You got, people that the only time they hear the literature is during the preamble at the beginning of the meeting. And then you got on the other end of the spectrum, the people who believe, the first 165 pages are the Bible, a way of living. They got to, fit by that. And it's such a different experience that I think if I went to the chill AA, I don't think I'd be here right now, if that was my experience. So I am glad that I had the extreme experience, because it makes me passionate, especially once, you leave and you start, like you said, you go outside of the triangle and you learn other stuff, and you're like, mind blown, it's
Right.
crazy. It's crazy. So, did you ever feel pressure to kind of, I know you kind of seem like you were very different than I was in the program. I can already tell that just by your, how you were already, just a little bit kind of like with your eyebrow raised, versus me, who I jumped right in. I was like, yes, I believe it all. So like, was there ever a point where you felt like, okay, like I need to start taking all these suggestions and I need to work it the way that they say to work it?
So how old were you when you came in?
21.
Okay, I was 32, so I was 10 years. No, I was 34, I think. I was a little older than you, and not that I was much different. It's just that I did that. Look, I was in for over 30 years, so you can't be in for over 30 years and not do anything.
Right.
Okay? There's nothing that I didn't do, except I wasn't a big book thumper in the sense that I always had this, like with sponsorship. I bet you I sponsored one one person or two people.
Oh, wow.
Okay, because I always told people, I don't even like to use the word newcomer. I told new people, or people that really was attracted to me, I would say I could be a friend and I could give you some. If you're asking for some suggestions or some information, come to me and I'll give it to you. I was always like that. I was always kind of, in that sense, against the stream. But
Yeah.
I always, because I had this, after years being in there, I had this sense of really helping people. I wanted to help people. It's almost like I was I was helping people deprogram why I was in such a subtle way. It was like how subtle they indoctrinate us. I was subtly indoctrinating others as years went by, because I was researching so much, and I was going outside the triangle, and I fully believed that I could help somebody, and they got me with the abstinence. They got me with that. And today I live an alcohol and drug free lifestyle, as you know. That's my choice.
Hmm.
We all have choices, but I have other types of beliefs about every. I respect all other genres and personalities and what they're doing. But I like the steps. When I go to step meetings, I did the first, second, third, fourth, because it's so easy. When you go and do, like in the big book, the 164 pages, it's like six. You do the fourth and fifth. The sixth, you just read it. You're done. Six, seven.
Yeah.
Then all you do is you are complete. You have completed step 7. So now you got 8 and 9. I got to go do some writing and I got to do some amends. Okay. So I did the best I could with that, but there was something, because I was hearing people talk about these living amends,
Mm.
right? And I said to myself, That to me is more important than going and digging up past resentments and all this other BS bullshit and digging up things that aren't really there. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of I didn't go for the whole thing with that stuff. You know what I mean?
The group didn't give you shit for like not, or did they kind of just think you were doing everything and, or you had a more chill group, you think?
I belong to yeah. First of all, I never belonged to any clubs.
Gotcha.
Okay, I stayed away from clubs because I felt
Smart.
from the very beginning they were toxic.
Hmm.
Okay, for me, for my at my age, I thought they were kind of toxic. And every I lived in Jersey, had a home group in Jersey. Lived in Arizona, Fountain Hills, had a home group in Fountain Hills. Lived in Florida, had a home group in Florida. When I moved over to California, had a home group because I used to go back and forth. And as the years went in, nobody, I wouldn't let nobody give me. I'm 34. I'm from Jersey, right? I'm from
Right.
the right. And you think so? I'm going to let somebody give me shit over telling me what to do? That's how rebellion. Being rebellious is not a bad thing.
Right.
But they want to tell you that you're rebellious. Okay. And here's another thing I did. So Lonnie was my first friend and sponsor, right? He didn't do all that stuff to me. Okay. So be careful because everybody would say, well, Bobby, you're going to go out and drink again because you don't have a sponsor that's really jamming you, right? Like that. But it worked in my favor. Now, my second sponsor, I chose them. They didn't choose me. Now, these things that I'm telling, these things that I'm saying, I would suggest to other people.
Hmm.
Okay, be careful what sponsor you get. Okay, so the second sponsor, the friend I chose, he was a therapist. His name was Bricklayer Al. He was a therapist, so he had a sense of how not to push.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is
After
like, it's nice because AA is so not trauma informed. Wouldn't it be nice if, all sponsors had the sense not to push, you know?
So I felt the things that I was learning, I felt an obligation and a responsibility to kind of say these. But I never said when I would say stuff in meetings, I would do it very politely. I wasn't afraid to say things, but I was never aggressive or putting people down or I was very subtle, when I talk. And yes, I did pick groups that fit my that were conducive to my body, soul, and mind. So these things I'm saying, I'm actually making suggestions to people if
Yeah.
they're coming out of rehabs, they're forced because of the forced coercive forcing in people into 12-step modalities to sober living, halfway houses, rehabs, treatments, psychiatric wards and jails, whatever. I would suggest be careful. And
Hmm.
there's no AA police.
Right.
So
Right.
I hooked on to stuff like, they use these things. I used them against them. The suggestive only, all the stuff that they used that they said because it was hypocritical. They say shit and if they don't mean it because they're going to get you, they're going to really come and get you, right? So I use that kind of against the program in itself. Um, go ahead.
Were there any specific teachings or practices or experiences in the program that you found harmful or unhelpful?
Let me see. Where's my? I don't even know where I put my list at. Where the heck it go? I just lost my list. Where the heck my papers go? Did they fall? Oh, here they are over here. That's funny. What number are we on?
I believe we're on 6.
6.
Yeah.
Were there specific teachings, practices in the program that you found harmful? Well, shit, I found all this stuff, after, I found more shit afterwards than I
Right.
did in there. I mean,
Right.
identity of theft, harmful,
Yeah.
just by raising your hand. I am the most powerful world in the universe. I am an alcoholic. That's not stealing your identity.
Right.
Okay. That in itself is identity theft. All right. So on my podcast, I talk a lot about it. I make different podcasts about different things. It's a hijacking of the self.
Yeah.
It's a hijacking of self because of that fourth and fifth step and that eighth and ninth, which gets you to all the seven deadly sins to make you feel so ashamed and so guilty of the shit that you did, which is normal stuff that most people did. A lot of it's not all of it, but some stuff is bad. But
Yeah.
over and over and over again, uh, it's a diminishing of the self.
Mm-hmm.
There's no self. There's. They want you to look, give your will and your life. You know what your will is? My will is what I put my attention, my energy, my effort. They want my will, which is everything,
Mm-hmm.
to take me to some place. They take my will, which they're taking control of my life, my will, my life, over to their care. Care is, if you look up care in natural law, one of the Hermetic principles, care is the most vital. Whatever you care about, whatever you put your energy behind, uh, whatever you put your attention is your care. What you care about the most in your life is what you create in your reality.
Yeah.
So here is a program, a society that we're giving our will and our life over to the care of AA. They say God, but they really mean AA.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know it's so, and when you look at, you see like young people, like even like 15, 16-year olds that are in, young people treatment. And then even me in my early 20s and people in their early 20s and like such a vital time, like you've been using drugs for so long, right? Then you get off drugs and then you go to the program and it becomes your whole identity. Like I think so much easier because I had no other world life experience to compare it to. The only adult experience I had so far was in AA, and it just that program can really just, like you said, like you're giving your will and your life over to the care of the program. It's scary stuff. So, how did the 12-step philosophy impact your self-esteem or your sense of identity? Did it take I feel like you had like I said, a less I don't know, it didn't like completely consume you. Like, did it have an effect on your self-esteem? What did it make you feel bad about yourself?
Yes, because of the ambivalence and of the
Mm,
dissonance that
gotcha.
in itself. Because first of all, look, I always went outside the triangle to other things, but Alcoholics Anonymous was still my main society. Okay, because I never heard of any other programs.
Right.
I could have left there and went to Buddha, but I got sucked in because the disease concept tells you, first of all, you're powerless, which you're not. You know, you're powerless over alcohol. Your life has become unmanageable. Now, I didn't believe my life was unmanageable. I believed that I was starting to manage it. Hell, who in the hell got in a car and went to a meeting?
Right.
Who decided to go to a meeting that day? Who decided? We make decisions because, see, Rockefeller knew when he hijacked this thing from Bill and Bob, he knew from like Napoleon Hill and all the success motivational people way back then, he knew that everything takes a desire. A
Mm,
desire just means a wanting. I wanted it. Now, where does that wanting and desire come from? It comes from us.
mm-hmm.
So what they do is they hijack the self and want you to believe that it comes from them, the outside, but it doesn't. It comes from us.
Mm-hmm.
We do it. They don't want us to take responsibility, and that's why the disease concept was created. The disease concept took the responsibility away from us because you have this disease of alcoholism, the ism. You're an alcoholic, and you were born with this probably through DNA and generational, whatever. So it's not your responsibility. Come and we will take care of you.
Mm.
We are the savior, God and Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah. Um, so what role, if any, did shame play in your experience with 12 step, and how have you worked through it? Like, was there any shame with leaving? It doesn't just have to be like while you were in, and have you worked through it? Do you still have any shame from the program or leaving the program?
Shame comes back. Guilt and shame pops in. It's like anything, I don't care what you did in the past, you'll have memories pop in, okay? Because memories are it's just a, it's just a tape that runs through. And I still have today guilt of and shame of leaving. I have this one friend. If he ever listens to this, I don't know, but you get ostracized after you leave, and they kind of cut you off, and they always think that they're going to hook you back by calling you, and they're going to get you back in and save your life, because you're going to be in trouble, even though we are growing, and they're stuck in the everlasting without any other information. You know, they keep you stuck in this
Mhm.
informational cycle. It's just a mind f. You know what I mean? It's a mind f.
Totally.
You know, and it's a cycle, but it still comes back. But all I got to do is think about it. You know why it comes back? I'm going to tell you why it comes back. Because this is what Alcoholics Anonymous has. This is the advantage of Alcoholics Anonymous. First of all, you can go to a meeting anywhere. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
You could go face to face to a meeting. There's probably 30 of them around here. I'm over here in Huntington Beach, California. Southern California is loaded. Okay, I don't care where you go. You can go to a meeting, right? They got this face to face connection, right? All I got to do is remember what it feels like to walk into a meeting and hear the repetition bullshit over and over again, and and the toxic programming. I could never sit in a meeting today.
No.
Never. It repels me to even think of sitting in there. Okay, so but I still feel guilty in a sense that, like, I have one friend. I have this one friend. I don't even know. I've been doing these podcasts for a pretty long time now, but I don't know if he ever even looked at my channel because I never told him to go to Anonymous Addiction. So there's some shame there. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's
Yeah.
still. I still feel. If I go tell them, well, go check my channel out. You know what they're going to say? I'm killing people.
Yep.
I'm
100%.
hurting people. Okay.
100%.
Um, because a friend of ours just died. This guy, I sponsored him years and years ago when I first moved to Arizona. His name was Mike. I say sponsored. He was the one. Remember I said about
Mm-hmm.
one or two people? Well, he was the one, right? I didn't sponsor him because I told him the same thing about being friends over the years. But Mike was in and out, but he stayed in for many, many years. Well, about a month ago, I don't know, because I moved out of Arizona years ago. But this buddy of mine told me Mike's been drinking, blah blah blah. So I called Mike up a couple times just to call him up and say, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" Not to say, "Hey, you still drinking?" Not to put that guilt and shame on him, but to
Right.
talk to him as a friend and concerned. So So my buddy went over to the house and found him. He was dead. He was dead on the floor.
Mm.
So right after that, he never called me back. My buddy never called me back. And I, I would love to know, because everybody would assume that Mike died of alcohol poisoning or alcohol overdose or alcohol withdrawal. I ain't assuming that. Now,
Right.
Mike could have been using some oxys and had some fentanyl, and he could have had a fentanyl overdose. You know what I mean? But Alcoholics Anonymous, all they do is go to right to that other shit, without really doing the research of why, or what other things happen. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say that that is such a it's I hate that. Like I hate that I know if I was to just die tomorrow, right? Everybody would assume that I died of a drug overdose. Like I hate that. I hate and you know what? I can't even front. Sometimes when I hear about people, that's my first assumption. Like I don't want it to be. I
Yeah.
don't want it to be, but my head does go there. I'm like, I wonder if it was a no. You know what I mean? And then I have to, I talk myself through it. I'm like, no, there's a million other reasons that a person can pass away. It doesn't always have to be that, but it is. That's one thing that I hate. I'm gonna skip around a little bit. When you wanted to leave, did you experience any stigma or pushback from people in the rooms or even just like people in your life? Like, was your wife nervous about, did you have to tell anybody? Like when it was time to go, when you were like, all right, I'm done, was it kind of just progressive? It faded out? Like, how did that all go?
Well, during the last several years, I kind of I was kind of deprogrammed in a sense, but still going. And believe it or not, I never heard anyone in the. I'm telling you, I don't think when I say never, I think it's true, unless I wasn't listening. But no one came in and said, "Hey, Bobby, check out a Smart Recovery meeting. Hey, did you ever go to a Recovery Dharma meeting? Or hey, did you hear about the moderation management? Or hey, did you ever hear of harm reduction? Not never. You know, I left. I've been away probably about six years now, so 7 years. But I was weaning off. I was slowly weaning down anyhow because I I created my. I started to create my own identity, and I had a lot of time, so people kind of. I chose to be a bleeding deacon over an elder statesman. Okay, that elder statesman shit, I never wanted to be one. Okay, so people knew it. And people knew I had a lot of time and I had a lot of knowledge. Okay, I knew all this shit. It's like I know this stuff in and out. Okay, so the pushback that I had was yes, at the end, the last couple years at the end, people would say, Bobby, you got all this stuff. You should be giving it away. Don't be so selfish.
Mm.
Why aren't you coming back to the meetings? Not for yourself, but for others. And I would say, you know what? I'm not going to get them sober and I'm not going to get them drunk. It's not my job. Okay. So I would respond to them like that. And I have people all the time, a friend of mine would always call me, hey, I got one thing that you got to do. You got to go to a meeting with me. Well, no, I don't want to do that. Well, come on. You got to get back in. Why don't you go to meetings? Stuff like that. Stuff like that, yeah. But, my wife, no. My kids, no, no, because I learned so much during this time. I wouldn't give up any of the time, and I learned so much about um, about the mind, the conscious, subconscious, unconscious, about the mind, the power of now. Because I read other books, Eckhart Tolle, Osho, Christy Murray. So I got into a lot of different other things, right? So I had this awareness, and let's just say I was enlightened a little bit, further, I think, than people that stuck in Alcoholics Anonymous. So they knew I was okay, even though I was never perfect. Okay, me and my wife still fight today. All right, I've been married. I've been married 52 years, 52, I think, 52 years. If I messed up one,
Nice.
53 for years. I got two daughters. They still know I could go off and be a little crazy, but I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? I don't have to do no fourth and fifth step over it or eighth and ninth step over it. I don't have to say what step didn't I do, go back to this and go back to that. I have enough information and knowledge that I know is true that I could check into it myself and say, man, why'd you respond to that like that? Because I still get my buttons pushed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean today.
It's natural, you
It's
know?
natural. It's
And
natural. It's not.
it's nice to be able to have emotions and not, I feel like that's one thing the program like taught me was, like anger was something I wasn't allowed to have, because that was going to put a needle back in my arm, and like all these emotions and things that, are so dangerous for us. And the thing that you said about like just the knowledge, that is what, when it took me a while to get here, but once I finally knew the facts, that is what helped me get online and start speaking. Because once you have the truth behind you, you're not afraid to say the truth because you know what the truth is. But I think you reading outside of AA approved literature is like a shining example of why they don't want people reading outside literature, you know? So do you consider yourself in recovery, or do you prefer not to use labels? Why or why not?
This is what I when I do my podcast, uncover, recover, and discover.
Mm,
I'm always recovering from something in society because I'm always discovering new things. Okay. So, in that sense, not alcohol, drugs, or process addiction, but other things. There's so many. Look, I'm uncovering and recovering and discovering the lies of not only Alcoholics Anonymous, but the lies of society,
yeah,
government, religions, politics, all that stuff. So I have a lot still to learn and I'm still growing. So, in a sense, not I like to use the word as far as alcohol, I don't drink. So, how can I be recovering from not drinking? You know
right.
what I mean? It's just a, as you know, the addiction recovery industry trap. It's a trap. It's a
Totally.
multi trillion-dollar money making, multi level marketing trap. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so do you feel, I mean, I guess probably not, but so you don't consider yourself like in recovery. So you don't feel like there, I know like you say there's different things that but there's nothing that you like feel that you have to do on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Like is there anything that you feel you have to do to be okay, to make sure that you never slip into your old life, so to speak?
No, none whatsoever. That's me. Now, I'm not telling anybody what to think about
Right.
that. That's
Right.
everybody. But me personally, I've been, I'm old. Okay. I've been doing, look, I've been studying philosophy and the mind and behavioral health for so long that no, it's like, do I have to think or maintain about me uh, cheating on my wife right now, or me going onto a porn site, or me walking out in front of a car, or me shooting some heroin? No, no, I don't have to maintain that shit. I got to what I have to maintain is a peace of mind and still work on responding to certain situations. I still get angry. I still have resentments. I'm still rebellious. I still have a little piece of all the other deadly sins that they talk about. I do shadow work. I understand me, but I try to keep a check on. I try to be able to relax and watch, observe what I respond to. And do I do it good? Sometimes I don't, but I always reflect back and I sit back and I say, check that out, what happened there. But I don't blame everything on me because
Right.
I know today it's coming from their shit. You know what I mean? But I know how to separate it where you want to, how long you can't change that son of a bitch. You can't change whoever. I don't care if it's my wife, my kid, my grandson. I don't care who it is. I ain't going to change him. And do I get pissed off, angry and stuff like that through other people's behavior? Yeah, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's funny because I think sometimes when you think that your recovery is contingent on certain things, it's almost a trap because, life happens sometimes in your routine, sometimes things fall off. And like that used to be a trap for me. I'd be like, oh man, like I haven't done my, my morning prayer and meditation for a whole week now. Oh, my disease, like it must be, it's ready to take me out. So yeah, I don't have anything a part of my daily anything. I just feel like I've recovered, I've healed, I've moved on, and this is me. So I guess, well, the last question, what would you say to someone who is on the fence about leaving and just really thinks that, that they want to leave, but they're concerned that it's their disease that's convincing them that they want to leave?
Well, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it's going to achieve. You're going to achieve. You can achieve whatever you desire. Question, like I say in the beginning, think, question, observe, and become aware. After you listen to one of our look, what I'm doing to maintain my peace of mind and my health. I have a purpose, and this is it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is my purpose and your purpose. I don't, I'm not telling you what your purpose is, but
No, no, but it is.
you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah.
This is our purpose. We have a purpose. We enjoy it. This brings me the stuff that you can't get in AA.
Right.
Okay, you can't get in the 12 step. When I talk about AA, I'm talking about all 12 step model. All there's probably 20 different 12 step programs. The advice I give to people: look, you're powerful. You're not powerful. You're not powerless. You're very powerful. Who walked into that meeting? Who decided? Who made the decision to go? Take credit for
Yeah.
what you're doing. You don't have to go against the screen. You still can be going to meetings, but find out the power you have by going against the stream a little bit. Test it out. If there's no AA police, they can't kick you out. They can't kick
Right.
you out. Okay, uh, go against the stream. Check out other things.
Yeah.
It's only going to help you. Just stick with it. I mean, if that's what you decide, stick with it. And I mean, I don't know because there's people that what came in now 12-step programs. They're so young that they weren't even addicted.
Right.
Okay, so I can't tell you. Only you could tell you what you need to do.
Yeah.
Okay, seek and you shall find, and keep on seeking.
Yeah.
If that's what you choose to do, and if you don't, I can't do anything. I can't make you drink. I can't make you get sober or not drink. I can't make you do harm reduction. I can't make you. It's got to be about health. Mental health is everything. The mentalism is everything. It's the first Hermetic principle. Mentalism. Everything comes from the mind. We create our reality through our thoughts and emotions and the feelings. We create our destinies and reality. So choose whatever you want. Long as hopefully it'll be healthier than what you're doing. You
Right.
know, and what
Right.
else? What else can I say?
Yeah.
Where are we at? We've been on an hour already.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, was there anything that I didn't get to ask you? Because I kind of skipped around, but was there anything that I didn't get to ask you that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I think what can you say? Uh, I'm in. Look, we're I'm deprogramming and hopefully reprogramming, helping people unlearn and relearn. If you're in anything, you're in recovery from Alcoholics Anonymous.
Right.
Okay, so think about that.
Yeah, I
Not
always
you.
say if I'm recovering from recovery, if I'm in recovery,
Right.
everything that I
Right.
learned from that. Yeah.
So, did you have any other question, or you want to leave it at that? Look. I hope the audience don't think Bobby C is not perfect. Okay, I spent a lot of time in Alcoholics Anonymous, a lot of time in those rooms, and I just know the books and stuff like that to deprogram, to help deprogram and reprogram some people. So that's my that's my goal.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important. When I was first looking on the internet, it's funny because like I remember seeing you, but then like it's because you've been on for years. You've been doing this for years, right? Like years and years. And I remember seeing you and not even like really realizing it was you until like years later, you know what I mean? Like connecting the dots. And I was like, okay, so it was you, and then I saw Quackaholics, and I was like, so there are, and I saw Monica Richardson, and I was like, so there are people talking about it, and I think when you see other people and you want to, it gives you that little bit of a push, and then we're none of us are here to, they love to say like, you're here to bash AA, you're bashing what saved my life, and it absolutely not. It's not about that. It's about, we know how many people, we all do it for different reasons, but I know what it's like to be trapped. I know what it's like to think that my life depends on this program, but it's not working. And thinking I'm completely screwed. I am completely screwed because this is the only thing that I can do that's going to save my life. And I mean that's miserable. So just letting people know that there's life outside of those church basements is, I think it's important. It's really important. And so, I mean, I know you get comments and the messages, there's people who won't even publicly comment because they're so scared someone in their home group will see it. They send the private messages I think it's all important stuff, and I'm glad that you've been doing this for a long time. You've helped pave the pathway for a lot of us, because I'm sure you see it now. A lot more people are speak out about it than they were a few years ago when you were on there. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being a voice. Thank you for being a pioneer in deprogramming from 12 step. And yeah, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Tara Grace from Burn the Stigma. I'll be checking you out because you're a friend of mine on Facebook, and I check you out, and I think you belong to Anonymous Addiction. My Truth About AA, as Bobby C sees it on Facebook. But I'm always checking you out. I always look at all the sites, and you're one of my favorites today. So
Thanks. Thanks, Bobby. All right, everybody. Well, until next time, have a good one. Stop.